Ramachandra Parabrahmane Namaha. I will explain the summary of the last 10 verses, that is from the verse 21 to 30. In that, Sri Rama said that only jnana can lead to liberation and not karma alone, and jnana is independent, and he introduced the Mahavakya Tattvamasi, which is the Mahavakya of the Chandogya Upanishad of Samaveda. And he said that the Tattvamasi means you or that. And here the direct meaning should not be considered, and the indirect meaning also should not be considered. And the Bahatyaka Lakshana, that is the portion of that description, has to be cast off, and the core meaning has to be taken. So what all that attributes that has to be cast off? And Sri Rama said that the first outermost layer of the Atma is the gross body, and it is formed by the combination of the 5 basic elements. The 5 basic elements, in their subtle state, they undergo a process called Panchikarana, and they become gross elements, and they combine according to our karma to form the gross body, and that is the first layer that has to be cast off. That is the outermost layer of the Atma, that is the self. The next layer for the self is body, or the Linga Sharira, or the astral body, or the Sukshma Sharira, which is the combination of the 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, 5 pranas, mana, buddhi, and this combination has to be cast off. And the next, that is very close to the self, is the causal body, which is the Karana Sharira. And that also has to be cast off because it has the basic avidya in it. And because of that, we have taken birth. And that avidya is common for all of us. Only the certain desires that are unique to each person, and all that has to be cast off. So is that all? The 3 bodies, if we cast off these 3 bodies from the mind, will it be okay? The next verse, that is the verse 31, the Sloka 31 says, it is not enough and something more has to be cast off. Let us see. Kosheshvayam teshu tottata hridihim vibhadi sangat spatiko balo yata asangarubo yamajodvayo yatha vijnayate esmin parito vicharite. This verse says that there are 5 koshas. The koshas, they also has to be cast off. There are 5 koshas in the body, and they exist in the 3 bodies, that is in the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. In other ways, you can say these 3 bodies as koshas also. The 5 koshas explained in the Upanishads are: first is the outermost is the Annamaya kosha. It is also known as the gross body, because it grows and shrinks by food, annam, and that's why it is known as the Annamaya kosha. Inner to that is the Pranamaya kosha. That is the prana, the energy sheath. Kosha means a sheath. That is the energy sheath. The next innermost is the Manomaya kosha. That is the mind. And this Pranamaya kosha and the Manomaya kosha, they exist in the subtle body. The next inner layer is the Vijnanamaya kosha, that is the sheath of intellect. It exists in the subtle body as well as, that is in the Sukshma Sharira as well as in the Karana Sharira. In the subtle body as well as the causal body. The innermost layer, that is the layer, that is the sheath next to the self, is the bliss sheath, that is Anandamaya kosha. Because the bliss of the self is reflected in this kosha, that is in this sheath. We experience this sheath, that is the Anandamaya kosha, occasionally, very rarely. when we are in the waking state, we experience it very rarely. That is when sometimes when we attain success and we are satisfied, that moment that bliss sheath pops up. We experience, we connect with that bliss sheath, but that is for a fraction of a second. Before that, another desire will come or somebody will distract us. It is not the happiness. If we get success, we just to celebrate happiness. That's not that. It is external. But that's complete satisfaction for a trace of that bliss sheet. We experience it. That is when we are satisfied. Sometimes, very rarely, we are satisfied, isn't it? Every day during our deep sleep, we experience this sheath. But it is covered by ignorance. And that's why while we sleep, we do not experience anything. When we wake up, we say, yeah, I slept well, I felt very comfortable, I was completely comfortable, satisfied. We say because at that time, like what we experience in this when we speak, we experience. When we dream also, we experience something, but that will not be experienced in the deep sleep because it is covered by ignorance. This bliss we experience during every day during our deep sleep, but it is covered by ignorance, so we experience a darkness and emptiness. So that sheet, 5 sheets are explained here. Kosheshvayam teshu tu tadahridihi. These are also the adjuncts. Vibhadi sangat spadihodbhalo yatha. That is, here an example, Drishtanta is given. If we keep a color flower, so for example, we keep a red color rose near a spatika, means a prism. The color of the flower will be reflected in the prism and the prism appears as the color of the flower. If we keep a red color rose near that prism, then the prism appears red in color. So a person, if he is able to separate between the prism and the flower, then he will very well understand the nature of the prism. Just like that, yatha asangarubo yamajodvayo detha. Like that, a person who is able to separate between this self and this adjuncts, these koshas, five koshas exist in the 3 bodies, and in another way it is said these koshas are said as the 3 bodies, that is the causal body, the subtle body and the gross body. In Sanskritam it is Karana Sharira, Sukshma Sharira and Sthula Sharira. If we are able to separate the self from these 3 bodies, then we understand the nature of the self as Asankarupa. That is unattached and untainted. It doesn't have any color, untainted. Aja, it is not born, birthless. And Advaya, non-dual. It is infinite, non-dual. It does not have a duplicate or another thing for it. That we will be able to understand, and that only by vichara we will be able to understand. Just like that, we will not understand. Then we will understand the meaning of the statement Tattvamasi. So, is that all? That 5 koshas and the 3 bodies, is that all? The next verse says, no, there is something more. बुद्धिस्त्रिधा वृत्तिरपीह दृश्यते स्वप्नाधिभेदेन गुणत्रयात्मनः अन्योन्यदोऽस्मिन् व्यभिचारतो मृषा नित्ये परे ब्रह्मणि केवले शिवे. It says that there are 3 avasthas, that is the 3 states the intellect has. That is the buddhi. The buddhi has 3 states, and these 3 states are the Jagrad Avastha. Avastha means state. Jagrad Avastha, Swapna Avastha, and Sushupti Avastha. The Jagrad Avastha is this state that we are all awake. The Swapna Avastha is the state where we dream. We collect lot of information and impressions while we are in the Jagrad Avastha and store it in the mind. And during sleep, the intellect that revolves around those impressions in the mind, and it creates its own castle. That is the dream state. And the Sushupti Avastha is the deep sleep state, where we will not realize anything. That's what I explained just now. There will be complete ignorance. Actually, it is the bliss, but it is covered by ignorance. So these are the three states of the intellect. A person in his lifetime, he will be in any one of these states. Either he will be in the Jagrad Avastha or Swapna Avastha and Sushupti Avastha. And that Swapna Avastha and Sushupti Avastha that we experience while we sleep. In the Jagrat Avastha, we are awake. All that Jagrat Avastha impressions, when we have some stress or strain, then we want to go to that deep sleep avastha, sushupti avastha, only because there is bliss there, a fraction of the bliss. Maybe we will not be able to realize it, but there is fraction of the bliss that we will be able to experience a bit of it. It is nothing compared with the bliss of the superconscious state. It's a trace of it. So only for that, we always, when we feel tired, when we feel under stress, or if we are in worry, we want to sleep, we have that intuition inside because we want to connect with that bliss, and we connect with the bliss, we get that a mental energy, and that is transferred to the physical body. So we always want to go to that. That is explained here. Buddhes tridha vrittirapiha drishyate. There are three states of the intellect, and that is the swapnadi, like swapna and more. Anyonyatosmin vibhacharato mrisha. And these states are formed by what? By Maya, that is mrisha. Anyonyata, because of this close proximity of the self with these three bodies, or the three avasthas, or the five koshas, we feel, that is the self feels that it is the three bodies. Because of this close proximity, just like how the prism and the flower, because of its close proximity, the pure prism appeared, that's pure spatika, it appeared in red color. Just like that, the pure self, when it is so close with these three bodies, the self appears as the three bodies. And the three bodies, they think they are intelligent. This is mutual superimposition. But, and at the same time, the anatma, that is the three bodies, think that they are intelligent. That this is my intelligence, that thing. Actually, that intelligence is not with the three bodies. The bodies are mind, everything are inert. So because of the superimposition, both they have the anatma has this misunderstanding, and the self also appears as they are the three bodies. If one is able to understand this difference clearly, that is the difference between the self and the three bodies, that is, we can say it as anatma. If one is able to separate and see the difference between the self and the anatma, then the self feels, that is, that self nature of the self is nitya, eternal, pare, that is absolute, nothing greater than that. Brahmani, Brahman means vastness, infinite, vastness, that we say as Brahma. That is Brahmani, infinite, Kevale, only that, not non-dual, Shive, bliss. देहेन्द्रिय प्राणमनश्चितात्मनां संगादजस्रं परिवर्तते धियः वृत्तिस्तमो मूलतया जलक्षणा यावद्भवेत् तावदसौ भवोद्भवः. This verse says that Tat is that pure consciousness, infinite supreme consciousness. The expression of that consciousness is the jiva. And how does the consciousness express? Its reflection falls on the bodies, these three, that is mainly the mind. So a jiva is the pure consciousness. Without that, there cannot be any reflection. The pure consciousness plus the reflection of the consciousness plus the three bodies. This is the Tvam, that is the Jiva, that is you. As long as this combination is there, that combination Deha, Indriya, Prana, Mana, Chidatmana, that this Chitatma that gives the power for all this. Without that, all this will be inert. So with this, when this combination Sangadajasram Parivartadediha, as long as this combination is there, then there will be change in the states of the intellect. And why does this combination exist? Vrittis tamo mooladayajna lakshana. That is, because of this wrong notion is there, only because of the ignorance, tamo moola, ignorance, only because of ignorance this combination is there. Yavad bhava tatavat asau. As long as this combination is there, then till then this change of intellect will be there. The three avasthas will be there. When we live in any one of these avasthas throughout our lifetime, if we don't realize that state in which the three avasthas exist, the three avasthas exist in a base, and that is the pure consciousness. Because of that ignorance, we are not able to separate it. Till this combination is there, this misunderstanding also will be there. Only by knowledge, this can be understood. But that till then, bhavodbhavaha. Till then, the transmigration cycle also exists. That's what is explained in the 33rd verse of Rama Gita. Now let us see the next verse. Neti pramanena nirahridahilaha hruda samaswadida chidghanamritaha tyajeda shesham jagadatta sadrasam pitva yadhambal prajahadi tatphalam. Here a very beautiful example is given. That is by the statement neti neti. Neti pramanena. That is, neti means not this, not this. That this expression is given in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We have to understand and must be able to, by knowledge, we must be able to separate the difference between the self and the anatma. That is the three bodies. Like this, we have to analyze. And this is manana. When we hear it, it is shravana. Manana is analyzing what we heard. We must be able to analyze like this. That is, the self, that the self is eternal, but the body is not eternal. So this body is not the self. The self is infinite, but the body is finite. It has a form, it has so that it can remain in a place, but self is all pervading. So this body is not the self. Like this, repeatedly and with many factors, we have to reject all that is anatma and separate the difference by this statement neti neti, and understand the difference between the self and the anatma, that is the non-self. Nirahridi ahila, nirahridi ahila. Like that, we have to cast off, renounce everything from the mind, the whole world from the mind by doing this neti pramana. Hrida samaswadida chidghanamritaha. Chidghanamritaha means like this you have to cast off or renounce everything and understand the pure nectar, amrita, nectar of that pure consciousness. We have to understand that nectar of the pure consciousness. Tyajeta shesha means renouncing everything else. Jagadadat sadrasam. You must renounce everything in that world, in the world. From the mind, we must renounce everything from the world and experience, that is, drink that pure nectar of pure consciousness. Nectar of pure consciousness. That is what Sri Rama says here is, renouncing the world means not hating the world. That is the notion of the Ajnani. A jnani, what he does is, he will understand the divinity, the pure consciousness through everything in this world. Just like what Lord Krishna says, just understanding the thread which makes fit many beads, that inner thread is not seen outside, but a person who is well skilled in that craft, he knows it. Just like that, we must understand that pure consciousness existing in this universe. It doesn't mean renouncing or casting off, or mean not hating. If we hate, that is avidya. Understand that pure nectar of consciousness, nectar of pure consciousness in this whole world, and understand it. Pitva yadhamba, just drink it means, pitva yadhamba means just like how we drink the pure rasa, casting off all the seed and outer skin, everything from a fruit. Just when we make the pomegranate juice, we just take the pure juice, casting off the seed and the outer skin and everything, the pulp, everything. So just like that, in the world, renounce the world from the mind and understand that pure consciousness, which is all pervading. That's what Sri Rama says in this verse. Like this, using the Neti Pramana, one must renounce or cast off everything from the mind and enjoy that pure rasa, that is the pure consciousness, nectar, amrita of the pure consciousness, nectar of pure consciousness. And how that nectar will be, it is said in the next verse as, कदाचित् आत्मानमृतो न जायते न क्षीयते नापि विवर्तते नवः निरस्त सर्वातिशय सुखात्मकः स्वयं प्रभ सर्वगतोऽयमद्वयः. The same verse is said in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2 also, and basically it comes from the Kathopanishad. So it doesn't mean that Lord Krishna or Lord Sri Rama has just copied from the Kathopanishad. It doesn't mean that. They all have studied the Kathopanishad, and there is no more better way of explaining the self than this particular verse which comes in the Kathopanishad, which is the moola of the Upanishads, or the moola of the Sanatana Dharma itself. So what Lord Sri Rama says in this word, the nature of the self is, kadachit atma na mrito na jayate. This self never dies, and because it is never born. It never dies, and it is never born. Na kshiyate na bi vivartade na nanavaha. It doesn't decay, shiyate, because only when it doesn't grow also. Na vivartade. Only if it grows and if it has components, it can decay. It is so subtle and it is so infinite, then how can it decay? So it doesn't decay, na kshiyate, na vivartade, it also doesn't grow. It is not new. It is eternal. No one knows when it began. It is eternal. Nirasta sarvatikashaya sukhatmagaha. And it does not have any adjuncts. That is, it does not have any bodies, any sheets, or any states. It is free from all these adjuncts. Sukhatmagaha. It is in bliss itself. Swayam Prabha. Swayam Prabha means self-luminous. What means by this is we are able to see all the objects only because of light. Do we need a light to see the sun? The sun illumines everything here. In this earth, the sun illumines everything because the sun gives light. Do we need some light to see the sun? For sun itself, it is like that. The sun itself shines by the pure consciousness. That doesn't mean it is the pure consciousness which is showing light to the sun. It doesn't mean that, but the energy of the sun is borrowed from that pure consciousness. Only because of that pure consciousness, that is our self, even the sun is bright. So, but this self or Atma or Brahman does not need any light to see it. It is Swayam Prabhavaha. It is self-luminous, which means that it is self-consciousness. It gives awareness and consciousness for all in this universe. So that is the meaning of self-luminous. Sarvagado, Sarvagata. Sarvagata means all-pervading. This and this self is Advaya, non-dual. It is non-dual. It does not have anything else than it. Everything here in this universe is pervaded by that self, which is the Atma, which is otherwise known as Brahman. So this is what Lord Sri Rama tells about the self. When we are able to see the separate between that Anatma and the self, then we understand the self as all these. With this verse, I will take a break and I will continue with the rest of Rama Gita in my next video. Om Shri Ramachandra Parabrahmane Namaha.